Okay, sweet. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Streamline Podcast. I know a few days, yesterday, I believe, or was it Tuesday, when me and Madam B were trying to stream an episode of Breaking the Base where we were talking about Gilligan's Island, and something happened with the internet, so we had to cut that short for that day. But we are going to come back and redo that later on. So, guys, hope y'all come and enjoy that conversation as well. But sorry about that. Right now, we're just on the streamline. We're on the 11th episode, and on this episode, we're going to be talking about the best of the Resident Evil franchise. If you don't know, Resident Evil is one of my favorite sci-fi slash horror franchises. I think it's a great idea, and I've followed it for quite some time now. I wasn't so much into it in the earlier games at first, but what got me back into the Resident Evil series was Resident Evil 4, and then after that, you know, the movies and 5. Then I went back to playing some of the originals, and it just been all of just a great experience with the story, with the characters, just the gameplay. Also, there's just a lot to just like about this series. And like in my Dragon Ball Z video, I'm going to go ahead and name off some of the some of the my favorite, if you will, media within this franchise. And when I say media, I mean the favorite movies, favorite books, comics, excuse me, as well as like the games. So that's generally what these best of whatever franchise title I have on here. Just basically what I like in that media of that franchise, like the movies, the games, the books. Which ones I like the most. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. As I said, Resident Evil is about this group of people that are having to deal with these viral outbreaks and these after effects of viral outbreaks, started by this fictional Umbrella Corporation. And each game, movie, and book focusing around how those characters are dealing with this. Some characters are new to it. Some are just repeatedly involved in it, as well as some of the bad guys and people that are working behind the scenes. First, I guess we'll just go ahead and just jump to the films. Hands down, I have to say the two best films out of all of the movies, the two best. I'm not saying the others aren't good. Two best, hands down, are the animated ones, the 2008 The Generation and the 2012 Damnation. In each of these movies, you have Leon Kennedy having to deal with this viral outbreak in different places. One is going to be at an airport, and then the other one is in, I think, the Sokovia, one of those Russian-like countries, Russian-type countries. And Leon Kennedy was one of the protagonists in Resident Evil 2 as well as 4 and 6, is having to deal with them. And not only they're awesome movies, but they do emphasize a pretty good balance of horror and action. And like in the first half of the Generation, there's an airport filled with these zombies, and at first it follows Claire Redfield's character. She's pretty awesome with these other survivors, but then Leon comes in, and I like that dynamic that you see between these two characters that has grown from the events of Resident Evil 2. So I think it was a great direction that they did go in when it came to this movie and their relationship. That was really cool. Damnation was really cool too. Had some very suspenseful moments, especially with some of the camera angles. Like there's one sequence where Leon is traveling underground, and you're kind of seeing through his eyes, because underground they got these infected people down there, and it's like very suspenseful. Like you think there would be like certain jump scares and stuff like that. But as far as I can say, sorry, it just, the movie itself was actually pretty awesome. And then you get to see if you liked Resident Evil 2, Mr. X, you get a variation of that in that movie, so it was pretty cool. And the action was really badass, especially the ending of it. So there's that for those movies. Now, debatably, there are the live action movies and whether they're actually pretty good. I think that if they're not good, they're borderline good slash cheesy slash entertaining. And if as long as something can be entertaining, I can deal with it. Now for the last movie, that was kind of like the final straw that broke the camel's back. Okay, I'm not gonna include that movie in this list. I'm sorry, but we do get the first 5 movies, which I thought were really entertaining. Yes, they're cheesy, and yes, they're filled with plot holes and just all types of stupid crap. But they're fun. They're fun. They're interesting ideas, and it'd be pretty cool. Like if they had a game to coincide with these movies, and they actually took the game seriously. Those games would be freaking awesome. But I do like the movies because I like seeing the characters. I love the character of Alice. I think she's a pretty cool character, and I would like to see her character kind of be crossed over into the games. That'd be pretty interesting to see. But I kind of like some interpretations of the characters from the games and the movies. I like the concepts, the ideas. I mean, think about it. In Retribution, you had this liquor that was like 5 times bigger than the regular one. That would be like an awesome boss to fight or have to deal with in a Resident Evil game. So, like, I think that was pretty cool. And I think the idea of, like, Retribution, where you're, like, stuck underground in this big facility and you're trying to find your way out of it, but you have to deal with all of these. I would rather it be the BOWs more than it be with, like, the Umbrella. Oh my God. I would rather be more like, you have to deal with like the BOWs rather than the actual people there. But that's a video for another time. But I do enjoy the movies. I think they are fun. There are some really cool moments in it, like in Resident Evil Afterlife. You get this action sequence where Claire is squaring off against this Axeman, and the way it's shot, the practical effects, the slow mo. Ali Lauder was awesome in the sequence. Like that right there was pretty cool. It made and I like the concepts. Okay, the first movie, they're stuck underground. They end up finding out all this stuff is just jumping off the zombies and everything, and they're trying to escape. Cool. Apocalypse. They're in the city trying to escape. This virus is just wiping out people, turning them into zombies and creating monsters and stuff. So that's a pretty cool concept. All right, in Extinction, the virus has had a really negative effect on the world, so the people are trying to survive in the desert. And I like the fact that they said that, okay, in the movie, the outside setting is like okay, but the outside setting, I don't want to say it feels hopeful. I mean, it is a different tone because usually Resident Evil feels more dark and, stormy nights and stuff like that. But the suspense and the horror comes from the not knowing when you're actually going into like buildings. And I think one of the best sequences of that was the part where Mike Epps and O'Day Fair, I think his name is, they had to go into this building after being out there in the light. So if you're out there in the desert, you can tell when the zombies coming. But when you go into a dark building that's completely quiet, you know what I'm saying? Like that was a really good. That was like a really good idea right there. So I didn't mind that. Maybe not some of the other stuff, but yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool idea. Especially like even the part where Alice goes into like the Umbrella facility. It kind of mimics that. Like things are suspenseful. You don't know what's going to jump out where. So I didn't mind that. That was pretty good. I really enjoyed that. And also I like that that the BOWs themselves aren't the only threat. People are threats too. So that's another thing that I appreciated about that. Afterlife, the people are stuck in a prison. They're trying to get out. That was a pretty good idea. Retribution, like I said, they're stuck in this underground facility, testing facility, and they're trying to escape. Great idea. Especially the ending. The ending was effing awesome. I cannot stress how much that ending was just phenomenal. That's like one of the best cliffhangers ever to a movie like this. But in terms of like the films, those are like I like those films. They're absolutely great. There is the book series, which I wish they would keep doing it. If they can continue writing Star Wars, they continue writing Halo. They should be able to continue writing Resident Evil, and I think that would be interesting, either cover the games or to put in little side stories that are going on outside of the core characters, because I like the core characters. I think they're all awesome, but not every time again something jumps off one of those characters, especially in our world. I mean, it's like, okay, what happens when somebody unleashes a virus in like 10 different places? They're not going to be able to be in all 10 places at the same time. But the 0 hour takes place, and most of the books are adaptations of the games or the movie. Well, yeah, or the movies. You got 0 Hour, which takes is talking about, is an adaptation of Resident Evil Zero with Billy Coin, I believe his name is, unless I got his last name wrong, but Rebecca Chambers, when I got that right. So it was a great story, and I did like watching those characters, reading about those characters, how they come together. Of course, Umbrella Chronicles goes over the first game. You have City of the Dead that goes over the second game. Nemesis, the third game. You have Code Veronica, obviously Code Veronica game. And I did appreciate those reads and those getting into these characters' heads, as well as a lot of the villains. I think that the reads are actually pretty suspenseful, and that the action sequences are done really well. So I really did appreciate the writing. I think S.D. Perry does a great job adapting the game, some of these stories. Not going to get into the other books. I think they're good, but at the same time, I think they're very lacking. And maybe it's because I'm a fan of the games, and since they're not really games, they're actual. But there are elements to them I like, elements I don't really like. And one of the tropes I don't really like about Resident Evil is like the villains. The villains are just, there's nothing about them. They're like, either they're too smart or they're just crazy. They don't never really have an actual good story, like backstory or good motivation. They're just, I want to see a villain that was actually, I mean, Wesker is one of those villains that, even though he's kind of, he has a flat personality, but he's badass. That makes up for it. If you have a villain that if you have a villain that has character and a good backstory, then yeah, that's a cool villain. If your villain is straight up badass, yes, it's a cool villain. But you got some characters that aren't, let's see, Wesker is one of those types of characters where he's just straight up badass. Might not have much character to him, but he's just badass. It makes him really cool. Osmond Saddler. One thing, in fact, Osmond Saddler has two of those characteristics. Not only is he badass, he has a lot of great personality. I mean, I just love the witty dialogue that he spits out and stuff. Yeah, he's a killer and he's crazy and has, wants world domination. But I love the banter, like with his character, and I just like that about his character. And most of the time, you don't really see that in most of these Resident Evil games. I mean, you go with Nemesis. Nemesis is straight badass. So Resident Evil 3. If you go with Resident Evil 6, the Ustanok was actually an awesome tyrant character. And I would love for there to be like a death battle or something between Nemesis and the Ustanok. Both of them are just straight up raw. They're just like the best, most awesome BOWs on the market. I said market. And I have to say that I did really appreciate the movie adaptations and some of the, because I read Extinction and I read Retribution, and I thought they were really good reads. I liked seeing the different perspectives with some of the other characters, and I also like that the book kind of explores a side story that's happening in the background. I remember in Extinction, it kind of gives you a little bit of what could have been possibly going on with Jill Valentine when all the stuff started jumping off, and you know what I'm saying, and as well as like in the movies, Jill Valentine was one of the people responsible for releasing the footage of what happened in Raccoon City. and you know, it talks about how like the FBI were trying to find her and stuff like that. So I like okay, that's cool. It's like nice to know see what happened to her character during those events and everything. How everybody got separated and what happened to the little girl Angela. Thought that was great. They need to do more of that. But they need to finish writing the adaptations for all the movies actually. Even though some of them a bit over the top. I liked Retribution also. It did the same thing where it was some workers that were in that same facility that were trying to get out too when things were jumping off. When the facility was, you know, being canned, attacked or whatever, being destroyed. And I like that because you get to see other people, like regular people, having to try to deal with this situation too. So I thought that was pretty cool. Now, of course, we got to talk about the games. But before I do, I want to say if you hadn't read the Resident Evil Mahara manga series, it's great. It's about this, outbreak that happens at this school, and that's in like isolated school in the middle of nowhere. Great read. It was really cool. He got new cool characters that I actually did like, and then of course Chris and Pierce come in later on in the series. So it was great. Of course, let's jump onto the games as well. Loved 4. 4 got me back into the series. Leon Kennedy is badass. Loved the characters. Of course, I played part 5. Loved part 5. Loved the co-op. Chris Cheval is pretty good. Wesker is at his most awesomeness in 5. Jill is pretty badass when she comes in there. And I love the concept. And I like the change of location. Because normally when you see these Resident Evil, it's, you know, like some American born place or something like that. But I think Africa was actually a pretty good setting. Although I wish they could have did a little bit more exploratory thing. Because they had a lot of great locations, but it was so linear. I wish they could have explored a little bit more. But for the most part, I did like part 5. Part 5 was pretty awesome. I went back and started playing some of the originals. I didn't beat part 1, but I got about halfway through it. I thought part 1 was pretty cool. Really enjoyed it. It was very suspenseful. More suspenseful than I thought it would have been. It was great. And I loved the atmosphere and the music. It was just really good. I started playing part 3. Loved part 3. Nemesis is complete dick. But I love that the puzzle solving and exploration and having to deal with these different BOWs. I thought it was really cool. I played Revelations 1. That's a hard game. And it's not hard in the sense that, like, you can't just, like, beat it. It's just, like, you have to conserve ammo. You have to be very smart about your ammo. Because right now I'm at a part where I have to fight these 3 BOW creatures or in this one small little area. And I have to activate some kind of switch. But I can't get through that because they can, like, practically 1 or 2 hit KO you, and I can't really defend against them, so I might end up starting the game back over. But Revelations 2, Revelations was actually pretty good. I didn't really like the whole different perspective thing because I felt like it just took away from the story. But then again, you know, sometimes you need different perspectives to actually enhance a story, and maybe I didn't really care about much of the characters or some of the characters. The scenarios that they had were pretty cool. Like there's this one scenario where I think you're Chris and you fall in this hole, and while you're like wounded, and your partner has to go all the way around to get to you. But you're being attacked by like these really big dogs, and you got to kind of defend against them. Like that was pretty cool. I do like the whole ship was a great. And it does the backtracking and exploration bit too. But the ship was actually a good like set to have like a Resident Evil game. Yes, the monsters are different; they're not zombies, but the monsters are pretty cool too. They're interesting monsters. I forgot what the virus. It's not the T virus. It's a T something virus, something like that. T aqua virus, anima virus, something like that. But it turns people to more of aquatic like BOWs. So I didn't really mind. I thought it was a great game, and the whole bit and it introduced me to the freaking raid mode, just like Resident Evil 4 introduced me to the freaking mercenaries. And raid mode and mercenaries are freaking awesome modes to play. Those things are awesome. But then I end up playing Revelations 2. Revelations 2, really liked it. It brought up the creep factor a lot. Loved the co-op. Where one character uses weaponry, the other character has their they can't use weapons per se, like guns and stuff, but they do have their own special uses. Like if you're playing if you're playing with Claire and Mora, Claire uses guns, Mora uses a crowbar. She can open up doors, stun enemies, find objects. If you're playing with Barry and Natalia, Barry uses like the guns and stuff, and he's kind of like the muscle. And Moira can sense demons, sense the different BOWs, and find items and throw bricks and crawl through small spaces. So there is a lot about that. And I do like the story. I wish they would have did a little bit more with the Alex Wesker character, because I think she was an interesting character, but she didn't have really much to do. And it's like, I would like to see more backstory between, if she's Wesker's sister, show me something on their relationship, show me a video footage, show me a memory. It just didn't really do enough with her character. But Jack said the best of Resident Evil. But for the most part, those, when it comes to Resident Evil, those are my favorites. I love I like most of the movies. I like the games. I hadn't played them all. I only played like maybe. I played Resident Evil at 0 HD. That was freaking awesome. I hadn't beat it. Nowhere near beat it. I ain't even got the train yet. That can't really say too much on that. I got the Resident Evil remake, HD remake. I hadn't played that yet, but it's actually pretty awesome. I think I spit on that. But anyways, guys, in the comment section below, let me know your thoughts and tell me, what are your favorite media of the Resident Evil franchise? Which movies are your favorite? Which games are your favorite? Which books are your favorite? I didn't bring in 6. I mean, because I actually do like 6. There are things about 6 that I do like, and there are things about 6 that I don't like. I'm so conflicted about it, I just left it on out. But also, be sure to hit that like, share, subscribe, and that notification button to get the best of what's going on here on the Narik Chase channel. And guys, stay tuned. On Thursdays, we will be uploading videos, whether it's Break of Debate. Well, I'm going to say Tuesdays and Thursdays. Whether it's Break of Debates, whether it's Streamline, whether it's just random reviews or just topics, we're all going to be uploading on this channel. So, like I said, stay tuned on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we will catch you guys later. Narik Chase, signing out to the next Streamline.